Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started here in about 30 to 35 seconds. In the meantime, enjoy our smiling faces. For those that are just jumping on, Zoom takes just a second for everyone to join us. Again, we're going to get started here very soon. Seeing lots of familiar faces join us from the members. Some of you have joined us for almost every single webinar, and we cannot be more grateful for that. So thank you. All righty, good morning, everybody. Before we get started, I wanted to turn your attention to a couple things. Number one, this session is meant to be very interactive. You can submit questions via the Q&A feature. If you scroll over any of our faces, you should see a Q&A button down at the bottom. Looks like two talking clouds. Select that, submit your question. Also, please do not use the chat feature to submit questions. If there is something in particular you want us to address, we absolutely will. So with that, good morning, happy Wednesday, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Will Ochoa. I'm the Vice President of Membership and Events, and I'm thrilled to have all of you here to learn about the Customer Goals Coach Program and the Coaching and Growth Center from US Bank. I personally have gone through this process. In fact, part of the reason why we're even here today is because I was so thrilled with the level of service that was provided to me, and I can tell you I've never really talked about my goals with the exception of perhaps my wife. So talking about some goals with somebody who is trained on how to reach them was incredibly resourceful for me, and there were goals that I have never really mentioned out loud, and they're not your typical goals either. So the one thing you're going to learn today, and I know the 800-pound gorilla in the room, is that a bank is asking you to make appointments with them so that they can talk to you about your goals. I had the same skepticism. I remember walking into my first session and Nicole was my coach and going, okay, here we go. What's this about? But I gotta say that I was pleasantly surprised that the first thing that I saw, and I'm going to share here on my screen, was this customer goals board. So I wanted to show you what this looks like. When I first walked in, I was expecting that they're going to have things like, invest in my property or get out of debt, your typical things that you'd find at a bank. But what I was pleasantly surprised, I keep saying that because I really was surprised on some of these other goals that really resonated with me. And for me, I personally picked one of which was pursuing your passion. And it was the first time that I really had a chance to really say out loud what I wanted to do. And it really put me on a different timeline for me to achieve those goals. And what you'll see and what you'll hear today is your customer goals coaches, the ones that have been assigned to the chamber, aren't your typical, what you would think as bank employees. They aren't bankers, and you'll hear their background. They cannot sell you any bank products. They are really here to help you achieve your goals, as well as your employee goals. So I wanted to start by having a little interactivity and launch a poll. You're gonna have a poll that comes up for you. It's going to be, one second. It's going to have a question for you in there that you'll be able to answer. So hang on one second. I just have to edit that one. Perfect. You gotta love live production, folks. All right, so here we go. Here's the first question that we're gonna ask you. Have you ever had an experience with a coach in your life? Go ahead and vote now. Oh my goodness, look at all those votes. I'm surprised at some of these answers. We'll give it another 30 seconds. They're still coming in hot and fast. Walter, if you had to guess what the answers were, what do you think?
I would think 75, 80% everybody says yes, or are saying yes, I think.
Wow. From everyone that took the poll, you'll see that it's almost that 67% have said yes, of course they've had a coach, and then 11%, or excuse me, 33% have said no. Well, I'm glad you're here to join us today. I wanted to really start by introducing you to our goals coaches. And again, as I was saying before, that these aren't your traditional bankers. They don't recommend or sell you any product, and they'll help explain more of what their purpose is and why we decided to partner with them and bring that service to the chamber. So I want to start with you, Nicole. Go ahead and take it away.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Freeman. I moved to Las Vegas a year ago, actually this past week. I have a background in education as well as mental health. I have my bachelor's in psychology as well as my master's. Even though I started teaching, I found my passion to be in working with people's minds.
Thank you, Nicole. I think your background is pretty unique, that you have a training in education. And, you know, as my goals coach, I know that was one of the first things I looked up because the internet lets you look up pretty much anything. So how has education really transformed the way, shaped your coaching approach?
Education has helped to shape my coaching approach because in education, you realize that everybody learns differently. And it helps to teach you to actively listen to people, kind of look for what's beneath the surface versus the answers that they're giving you. And so it assists me in listening to the individuals that I'm helping to truly figure out what it is that they want when they feel like they can't say so.
Thanks, Nicole. I appreciate it. And we'll hear more from you too.
Welcome.
Next, I want to introduce Jill.
Hey, thanks, Will. Hi, everybody. I'm Jill Ross. I started my career in the military, and after my service ended, I went into business, eventually as a human resources director and then project manager before becoming a goals coach with the bank.
Thank you, Jill. So military background is huge, especially in this market. As everyone knows, Nellis Air Force Base is absolutely huge here. Nelson Creek, excuse me, in the north and northwest. Jill, how has your military experience in HR and project management, how has that helped with the coaching process?
So when I was in the Navy, I expected to make a 30-year career out of the military, you know, and so I had everything planned out in so much as you can with the military. Unfortunately, a heart condition derailed my career there. So what I learned from that is very quickly I had to adapt, I had to pivot, I had to make changes. And that combined with working so closely, developing and mentoring employees later, and then working with like project developers, it's influenced my coaching for years because for me, that's what coaching is. It's the ability to help people recognize what drives them and then help them make that adaptation or that pivot.
That's great. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Walt, I'd love to finish the introductions with you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Will. Good morning and greetings everyone joining us today on the call. I'm Walt Carey. I'm a 20-year retired Air Force veteran who made the transition into business coaching and consulting here for a private firm here in town, here in Las Vegas back in 2014. And with my current role here in U.S. Bank, I've been with the bank since October of last year.
Thank you, Walt. So you've been with the military for how long? 20 years?
20 years, sir. Correct.
And I know there's some other things too. I know you serve on a CEO advisory group. Is that right?
That is correct. I've done that as far as also various nonprofit organizations in the Valley.
Yeah. So tell me about, what about your 20-year military career and your B2B experience benefits you as a coach?
Well, that's a great question. I'll start with the latter. As far as my B2B experience, it's definitely allowed me to truly understand that particular dialect of business development and also the intricacies involved to help a business owner, an organization truly identify not only their unique selling proposition, if you will, but also discover their why and not losing sight of that human component needed to be successful. And of course, with my 20-year Air Force career, without question, areas of accountability, strategic planning, and process improvement have definitely been valuable.
Thank you, Walt. I appreciate that. As you've heard with all three coaches, again, their backgrounds are extensive. We're blessed to have all three of these as part of the chamber, and I can't wait for all of you to start meeting them on a one-on-one basis and your employees as well. I want to talk about a little bit about what goals coaching is and talk about the program. So Jill, I want to start with you. Can you explain what goals coaching is? I think a lot of people have that question. I know that was my first question when I first encountered the program.
Yeah, it was my first question too. Like, what do you want me to do? Okay. So, goals coaching is a lot of things to a lot of people, but the three keys that I think are the biggest takeaways. It is a deeper understanding of what you're capable of, what your passions and motivations are. It's an individualized plan and the clarity that you need to progress with that plan. And it is finally the confidence in your own ability to achieve what it is you want.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So Nicole, and actually before I get to Nicole, I want to just put in a chat box our landing page for the coaching program. It's vegaschamber.com/coaching. Very simple. Head to that URL as we're talking. And again, just as a reminder, you can use the Q&A button at the very bottom to ask our coaches anything you'd like to ask them. So Nicole, when we started talking about building a partnership with the Customer Goals Coach program in the Coaching and Growth Center, a lot of people were asking, how is this program different than what other organizations may offer? So what makes this program different?
Well, unlike anything that any other chamber or any bank offers, there's no charge for our service. And like you said earlier, we don't have a sales pitch, so we're not trying to sell you a product. There's no bait and switch for you guys. We're just strictly here to help you identify what goals you have and to help you develop a plan that can help you to achieve those goals. We're not bankers, so you're not coming to us and we're not looking through your accounts and telling you where you've gone wrong. We just want to genuinely figure out what you feel like it may be stopping you from getting to your goals and figure out how to move those roadblocks for you so that you can be successful.
It's funny you mentioned, we're not going to look at your accounts and tell you what you did wrong. I have that coming in. I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm going to have to explain a bunch of stuff. But and again, for all our chamber members that are joining us today, I'm telling you right now, and I've had a chance to meet all three of these coaches and all the rest of the coaches that the U.S. Bank team has assembled, and every single one of them is so uniquely gifted in the realm of listening, and I think that it's something that is extraordinary. So thank you, Nicole. So Walt, for the chamber members that are on, I think the bottom line question that needs to be asked is, how can this be beneficial to them? Why should they even schedule a meeting with you?
Great question, Will. A goals coach in general will definitely help the business owner identify the next steps relative to the business goals, but also in their personal life in general, particularly during these unprecedented times. But also coaching is an added resource for their employees and executive teams across the board.
That's a good point, Walt, and something I want to make sure that we keep reiterating is that it's also for your employees. And so for those of you that are owners of your business, presidents of your companies, managers of people, this is something that you absolutely want to share with your team. There are studies out there, and I'm sure you've heard them all, about how well your employees perform when they perceive that you are taking care of them and that you're taking steps to give them their opportunities to pursue their dreams as well as to develop themselves. And this is, again, a unique opportunity because it is free and it is being offered by us as the chamber. And I think it was Nicole that said that we were one of the first chambers in the country to do it. So we're really excited about that. So Nicole, I want you to walk me through kind of what a session looks like. And while you do, I'm going to pull back up the list of goals on the screen.
Of course. Well, prior to your session, we send you a couple of documents for review. And one of those documents is actually what Will has on the screen. So there are 18 different goal cards there for you to kind of look at and get yourself thinking about what exactly you want to do. Now, if your goals aren't on those cards, that's okay. We can still talk about them as well. And so you sit down with your coach virtually and for a 60-minute session where they truly get to know you. They ask you what your goals are, what is encapsulated in that goal. What does it mean? Why is it important? What are you missing from achieving that goal? This session can be either had individual, you can bring your business partner or your spouse or life partner. And then after that first discussion, we determine your achievability of your goals. And that's not to tell you that you can't do something. We'll never tell you that you're incapable of reaching that goal. It's just to say, can we achieve this right now, or do we need to modify it a little bit? And what suggestions can our financial experts give us to help you reach those goals, if they are financial in nature, because of course they don't have to be. And then we work with you to develop a plan that is tailored to you and figured out by you with the help of your goal coach that might best fit you. Sometimes a session 1 is all you may need or all you may want, but other times you might need 2 or 3 sessions. You'll work with your coach to develop a plan, that fits you the best. Do you want to talk to your coach once a month, once a week, every 2 months? What do you need to help you be successful? We're strictly here to just guide you, not to force you in another direction. So we want to be your accountability partner and help you adjust as life happens.
Thanks, Nicole. And again, the goals are there. If somebody says maybe one of those goals aren't for me, can they come up with an additional goal?
They can come up with an additional goal. So the best part about all of this is each of those 18 goals you saw, regardless of the title, you can change the title of it. We ask you specifically, what does that goal mean to you? So we want to hear what your thought process is, because starting a business could mean something totally different to me, than it does to you. So I want to find out what it means from that individual that we're sitting with.
I feel like I'm back in my coaching session.
You are. Welcome back.
In front of everyone. No, that's great. Thank you, Nicole, for explaining that. And again, I keep bringing up the list of goals again because they're more than just finances. A lot of them, again, has to do with what makes you human. So again, I really appreciate that. For those of you that are on the call, maybe thinking to yourselves, okay, well, where do I start? How are other people using it? I want to kind of go through each coach and talk about some of their examples of coaching sessions that they've had. Some good stories, some real practical ways that business owners and others have used your coaching session. So Jill, let's go ahead and start with you.
Okay. One of the things that we encounter sometimes is that, customers don't know what to expect, or they're a little bit reluctant to engage in the sessions, because the idea of goals coaching from a bank is just unique. It's different, it's new, it's weird, it's whatever they want to call it. So this particular client really stuck with me, right? She came in she saw goals coaching on the website and expected to come in and talk to me about her goal of opening her own business. And her biggest concern was I was immediately going to start selling her a product. Oh, well, you need this credit card and that loan and blah, blah, blah. Her follow-up to that was, okay, well, if you're not going to sell me a product, then you're just going to say, oh, that's a cool goal. Thanks for your time, and send her on her way because she didn't buy a product. Not at all. What I loved about this client is that we had such a great detailed conversation about her goal. And in her case, she needed things like licensing and advertising. So we talked about the best way she could go about getting that and doing that and what that looked like to her. We talked through ideas to make her business sustainable. We talked through how to make it eco-friendly. That was really important to her. We talked about how she could reach an underserved or unserved demographic for her business. Again, very important. We talked through all of those different ideas. At the end of the day, I sent her on her way with her timeline. She called me the next day to say how much she really enjoyed the conversation and that she will be back every 2 weeks to follow through till we get her business up and running.
That's good to hear. I love that story because you talk about them being reluctant, and I'm sure that you're not unique in that sense. And Walt and Nicole and the other coaches have also had that. And again, like I shared, I was reluctant as well, and I know that's a huge hurdle to overcome. So Nicole, how about you?
Yes. One of my most exciting and most memorable sessions that I've had was a customer who came in, and it was kind of professional, just kind of talking about his want to grow his career and pursue a passion. But in that conversation and talking about pursuing a passion, he realized that his passion was barbecuing. And it was more than just a hobby for him. It turned out to be something that he actually wanted to start a business in. And through that conversation, he's actually gotten a logo made. He's gotten started with that business. And it was just really a genuine self-discovery process, and it was extremely fun.
Well, I'm not violating any HIPAA laws when I say this. Not that HIPAA applies here, but that was me. Again, I got to say, you're right. It's after, yes, my goal was about the professional career, but once I started talking about the pursuit of passion, you're absolutely right. It clicked on me that that's what I wanted to do. And it did really put me on a different timeline. And I can't wait to update you on some of the things I've been working on. So thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
You're not my coach, so you're not going to have one about me. So go ahead. Go ahead, Walt. Your turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, here recently, Will, I had the opportunity to meet with a successful CEO and business owner who owns several brick and mortar locations throughout the nation. And Will, his first question when we met was, Walt, what value could coaching bring to me? And he let me know it was, suggested that he meet with me, even if it's just 15 minutes for a quick overview of the goals coaching program. So in short, but also 90 minutes later, right, Will, we took a dive and look of the goals coaching program, and we organically identified and uncovered one goal he had, which was to grow his business footprint in 5 years to a 3x multiple. So with my background in franchising, we definitely talked the X's and O's, right? The logic movements, the planning, things in that nature. And perhaps if this model would, how would this model look for him and things of that nature. But what I think the most value add to the conversation overall, Will, was when I asked him what his why was. Why did you get in the business? And what will this growth mean to you and your family? And Will, and those that are listening, he paused for a moment. And he was quiet. And he said, Walt, I'm not quiet because I don't know the answer to that question, those 3 points. I'm pausing and I'm quiet because this is the first time that anyone has ever asked me as a CEO, the human component aspect of my goals. So Will, needless to say, moving forward, the rest is history. We're working together in achieving that one particular goal. But also along the journey, with hopes, we're gonna identify, future goals and any other goals that resonate with him.
Thank you, Walt. I love hearing that story about you meeting with the CEO, because that's why these groups exist, these CEO advisory groups, because the saying goes, it's lonely at the top, and there aren't a lot of people that can ask those questions in a comfortable setting. So that's really great to hear. So I'm going to launch another poll. And so I want to know, and granted, we've only been talking for about 20 minutes, but I want to ask you, is goals coaching for you? So I'm going to relaunch a poll here. That one's the experience. Polling 2, here we go. And panelists, I'll allow you to vote too. So here we go. So the question is goals coaching for you? I see some of you are selecting. I still have questions. So if you do, please submit those questions that you have in a Q&A. Let's see if we can't answer those for you. Overwhelmingly, people are saying yes, can't wait to start. We'll give you an opportunity here to schedule some time on the next slide. So now we're up to 6 people who've said they still have questions. So 6 of you, I don't know, this is anonymous, so I can't point you out, but if you have questions, please submit those questions. All right, let's give it 10 more seconds. All right. So 68% of our attendees said that they cannot wait to start. The rest of them still have questions. So that is interesting. Again, please submit your questions. And also at the very end, you'll have some opportunities also to schedule some time and find out more information on the landing page. So thank you so much for submitting those. So I'm sure everyone's excited, and for business owners, this is a great tool for employee retention and added benefit. So Jill, can you walk us through how to schedule a session? And while you do, I'm going to go ahead and load up some ways that you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can start by scanning the QR code or go to vegaschamber.com/coaching, as Will said earlier. You'll see our pictures and our profiles there. You can follow our links to our calendars and schedule time with us. If you can't find a time that works for you though, there is a form that you can complete and we'll do our best to get you scheduled in a time that works. Right now, we're doing the majority of our sessions virtually using WebEx, but if you really feel like you want an in-person session, let us know and we'll accommodate that for you.
Thank you, Jill. I'm going to leave this here just on for a few seconds, and we're getting some questions to pile in right now, which is great. Thank you. So first and foremost, the QR code is live. If you don't know this, your phone has the ability to scan it without an app. So if you pull up your camera and look over it, it will take you to vegaschamber.com/coaching. So I have a question here, and I'm going to ask this now because I think it's really important. This one's coming from one of our members, who is the owner of a protective services company, Southwest Protective Services. What are the timeframes with regards to coaching? How much time do we have to meet with coaches, weekly, monthly? I'll leave it up to the coaches, any one of you to answer that question.
I'll answer it. We have as much time as you need. So once you start working with your coach, you'll meet with your coach to what you and that coach feel is best fit for you. So if you decide you need to meet with your coach weekly, then you will schedule out your sessions ahead of time so that you can put it on the calendar and you'll be ready to go.
Now, Nicole, I know that currently we're operating within pandemic guidelines, but if somebody wanted to meet in person, can you accommodate that?
If they would like to meet in person, yes, just let us know and we'll do our best to accommodate what you need.
Thank you so much. So a lot of good questions here. The next one is, it's from an anonymous attendee. It says, I coach and mentor as part of an organizational development firm. How can goals coaching work for me? It's a really good question. Open to anyone.
Well, I'll take that. I definitely think, I mean, and that's a great question, right? I truly believe that every coach needs a coach. So there's definitely, we as humans, you know, oftentimes we have challenges with seeing the forest through the trees. And what better approach to your own development as a coach than to have that coach right by your side to help you, per se, see things that maybe you didn't notice during your time of practice. But also to be able to share, most importantly, best practices that, you know, we as coaches are experiencing, you know, and collaborating in thus far.
Thank you, Walt. Jill, Nicole, would you like to add anything?
No, I think Walter covered all of it.
I agree.
This one is coming in, and the question is, and thank you for bringing it back up, is coaching just available to business owners, or can their employees take advantage of it as well? I believe we covered that, but Jill, would you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is absolutely for the employees. And, you know, as somebody who's worked with employees for many, many, many years, it is probably one of the best benefits that you can offer. You know, you're showing your employees that you're invested in them, you're interested in them, you're concerned about their own career succession or goals succession, professional succession. And they're going to see that, and it could even cause them to want to stay with you longer. It could be one of those benefits that helps you retain that employee.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. And again, for those of you who manage people in any capacity, please forward this over. If you have an HR department, send it over to your HR team. This is something that we truly believe is achievable because, and especially during these times, and even after we get out of this, personal development is huge and continues to be huge. So this next question here, it's a little bit of a comment beforehand and then a question. This person in particular says, I spent $5,000 on business coaching for a 9-week program, but really didn't receive much benefit. And once the program was done, all contact was done as well. We hear that a lot. There was a lot of unsupervised goal work. How does this differ from a paid service? Or how is this different from a paid service?
Well, I'll take that one. This differs from a paid service because your goal coaching process with your goal coach doesn't last a certain amount of time. It's going to be based on what you and your coach come to terms with. So whether that be a 9-week span, or maybe your goal is large enough that you need that year-long span. It just depends on what you're trying to work through. And we don't just stop contacting you. I can't speak for the other coaches, but I know me, I kind of harass with people. What are you doing? How's that goal going? Do you need assistance? So I think the major difference is that this is about support for you guys. And we know that we can't support you by just touching in, once every 2 months. We need to touch in on what's best for you. Maybe you're that person that needs to be held accountable all the time. Maybe you can work on a relaxed basis. So the biggest difference is it's going to be tailored to you and your needs.
So Nicole, that brings us kind of a follow-up question. And in this person's case, it may be that maybe the coach themselves wasn't a good match. So what happens?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when someone signs up and they see that you're not a good match for them, or vice versa to any other coaches? What happens from there?
Well, there are 8 of us total. So if you're not a best match for us, we each have the ability to get to know you, and we know each other very well. So we know how to kind of figure out who might be a little bit of a better fit for you and make that connection with your permission to a coach that might better fit. And we'll work with you until you find someone that you feel comfortable with.
So as a follow-up on that, I just had a question just come up. What happens if your coach U.S. Bank? So I don't think that ever happens, or that would ever happen. But what happens in a sense? You build up all this rapport. What happens from there? And it's open to anyone.
Wait, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question? I missed the question part.
Absolutely. So someone had asked, what happens if your coach leaves the organization?
Well, I would hope none of us decide to leave the organization. But if that were to happen, with the professionalism that we have, the coach will let the other coaches know what's going on, and we will make sure to pair you with someone that will best fit you before our departure.
I figured as much, and I can tell that a lot of information is stored in there, so I think they can pick up where they left off. And on top of that, I'm sure that they would find a coach that matched very similar to what you were looking for. So thank you for the question. Keep the questions coming. I mean, this is great. We have a couple more. Oh, another one just came up. We have a few more questions. So one is, when you sign up for coaching, do you get an assigned coach, or do you have freedom to choose? I can answer that one, and just because it's a little bit easier for me to answer. If you go to vegaschamber.com/coaching, you can read a little bit more about the coaches that have been assigned to the Vegas Chamber, and then you can choose from there. Our program very much is going to be that way, where we want to make sure that you get matched up with the coach that's perfect for you. But for that person that submitted that question, again, if that coach isn't right, then we, of course, that they will do everything that they can to make sure that it's paired up with someone that works well with you. Here's one that just came up. What was one trait in all the coaches that U.S. Bank looked for?
Well, I don't know that they specifically looked for it, but for me personally, I think the trait that has come out above anything else is the dedication. I have not worked with another team of people that's more dedicated to the clients they work with.
Yeah, Walt, Nicole, would you like to add anything?
Well, I think for me, it's definitely an active listening skill. We as coaches, we're not consultants, right? So we're centered around the questions and teaching the client how to fish rather than giving the fish as a consultant would. So I think that's definitely been a valuable key component, if you will, of all of our success, excuse me.
And I think one of the biggest ones is the ability to be non-judgmental. So when we're talking to people, we have to be able to take our own bias out of that conversation and understand that, this isn't about us, it's about the individual that we're serving. So I think that that's a really big quality.
Thank you so much for that. Some more questions coming in. Man, this is great. Thank you so much for the questions that have been submitted. This one is from one of our members that just joined us, and actually we will be seeing them a little bit later today, I think. But this person asks, how long are the meetings typically? Also, are evening meetings possible? Most of my team is not finished with our clients until after 6 or 6:30 p.m.
So the meetings, I'll take that one. The meetings are usually an hour long to get through the session, the first ones, and then they vary from there. The after 6, all of the coaches, we all have the ability to flex our schedules however we need to. So if it needs to be an evening meeting, you work with your coach will absolutely make those accommodations.
That's good to hear. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas, for submitting that question. Another question is, have any of you participated in the goals coaching with US Bank as a client? Oh, that's an interesting question. So have you gone through the coaching process with another coach?
I'll take that one. When we're doing training, I actually did go through a session with one of the other coaches. And it's part of the reason that I think that this is such an amazing opportunity. It helped change the way that I looked at myself as well as my finances. It was very genuine, and the best part about it was confidential, so I knew no matter what I told her, she would keep it to herself. So yes, I have gone through one.
And I'll ask afterwards how the experience was, but it sounded like it was great. This last question here is a pretty good one, and I want to see if I can try to answer it first and then turn it over to you guys. So the question is, what if we're interested in a coaching session but have no idea where to start? How do you help clients identify their goals? So that was me. I can tell you I had no idea where to start, and I think I was doing it out of courtesy of one of our members at US Bank. And when I walked in, Nicole had asked me and said, okay, before we get started, pick 3 of these goals. And that was it. She just left me standing there to choose 3 of these little tiles that I brought in with me. And as I sat down, she asked me why I picked every single one of those goals and just listened. So when she picked up on the one that I picked, which was pursue a passion, she knew instantly, just based off of the way I reacted to it, that she wanted to learn more about it. And so as I kept talking about it, I realized, oh my goodness, I should set a goal for this outside of what I just had. So a lot of it is reading your body language and seeing how excited you get about one of the goals that you're talking about. And then I believe the other one that I was talking about, I was like, yeah, anyway, I want to do this. And so, yeah, let's not talk about that. You know, the level of time that I had talking about the other thing, she capitalized and understood. I mean, it's very similar very similar when you talk to somebody about what really drives them. You can really tell it excites them. So how did I do, coaches? Was that right?
Absolutely.
I think you were right on the mark.
All right. We had a question coming through the chat. So what is the process for matching a coach? Good question.
I don't know that there's specifically a process for matching other than reading the profiles and, you know, finding, it's kind of like picking a goal. You're picking out of the profile what resonates with you. And you kind of match that way. And then of course, if it doesn't match, we can move you around. But I think it's kind of like picking your goals. When you pick your coach, what part of us matches with you best?
Yeah, and again, the process for us is really going to be on having you as the chamber members go and select your coach. And then again, if you meet with them and you realize, hey, you know what, there's something that rather you'd want to experience something else, I'm sure you absolutely can. Again, I want to just ask one more time for any other questions as we wrap up our program here. Thank you so much for all those questions that you did. We really enjoyed them. So ultimately, the question that I get asked is, why are we as a chamber offering goals coaching to our members and their employees? Well, first and foremost, this program of Customer Goals Coach started in Las Vegas. This was an initiative that the leadership at US Bank here in this market decided that this was a market for us to start this program. When I first heard about it, it sounded intriguing. And again, my experience through working with all of you closely as chamber members in past years that have been here led me to believe that this was a great opportunity for all, because number one, they were offering it to you for free. And number two, it helps you reach goals that aren't just financial. I think that was really the biggest key. At the chamber, we believe that everybody should have an opportunity to access these resources. And also, as you see the logo, we want to cultivate growth and prosperity for everybody. And because of that, we're so excited to bring this to you. We're hoping in the future that there'll be a physical presence that you can come and here at the chamber and meet with the coach. But until then, I know that, most of the coaching sessions are virtual based on what's happening. As a reminder, Goals Coach employees, Goals Coach are U.S. Bank employees, and they're trained specifically. Their background is in behavioral science and goal achievement, and they're not allowed to sell any products or give financial advice. And I keep bringing that up because I know a lot of you will have that reluctance that Jill talked about in her segment, that that you may have it going into it saying, oh man, you know what, I don't know about this. Give it a chance, send this to your employees, send this to your colleagues, even if they're not chamber members, this is open to them as well. We just wanted to take the helm and say, we want to partner with this organization to do it. And with that, I do have two other questions that came in, so I'm glad that inspired some more questions. But nonetheless, here are some questions. So one, this person says, I love that the coaching sessions are separate from banking, but what if we do have financial goals and questions?
I'll take that one. Well, Walt, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
If you do have financial goals or questions, we do partner with the other partners within the bank who are experts in those areas that you may have questions with. And with your permission, we'll gladly connect you or bring them in if you would like to answer those questions for you. Walt, I don't know if you had something else you want to add to that.
No, that's a great point there, Nicole. I just think as an organization, our mantra is truly to power human potential. And we take that approach holistically. It's not just the three coaches you see here today. It's an amazing team and a support system behind us. So should we identify through the goals discovery that we need to pull in a subject matter expert to have that furthering conversation centered around a product or services identified by the client, then we will do so. But it is a holistic approach.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Another question asked, are coaches available to help staff who are spread throughout the United States? We have several team members located in places other than Nevada. And that question's coming from Deb. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, we are just getting approval to move outside of Vegas. So yeah, we're starting to work with people virtually in other parts of the country.
Great, thank you. Another question came in. If you have multiple goals in different areas of your life, are you matched with multiple coaches? Or does one coach help you manage all of that?
The nice thing about the coaches is that we can all manage to handle all of the goals that are on there. So if it's multiple parts of your life, we'll just handle it all the way through. The other thing that's really nice about this team, and we talked about earlier, moving coaches around. If you identify a goal that maybe I, for example, am not an expert in, maybe Walter is because he's got the better background in business development, we will then partner together. So you would essentially have two coaches, because maybe I can help you better on one side and Walter can help you better on the other. So you may start with one, but you don't necessarily have to just have one.
That makes sense. I mean, ultimately what it sounds like to me and what I really appreciate about this team is that you guys are flexible, that you're able to accommodate whatever it is that the needs of the client are. So thank you. I wanted to just conclude the program by having some final words from our coaches. And as you guys prepare those, I want to again share the screen that I have on this last one. Oops, one more, there we go. On how you can figure out if goals coaching is right for you. So Nicole, let's start with you. Any last words that you'd like to say to the chamber members?
I would like to say, don't spend too much time trying to figure out if goals coaching is right for you. Because at the end of the day, who wouldn't want a free service that assists you in identifying what exactly you want to do with your life and helping you to achieve those goals? The best way to figure out if it is right for you is to get started. And once you get started and talking with your coach and getting to know your coach and getting to know what your goals are, then you'll figure out of whether or not if it's right for you.
Thank you, Nicole. Jill, I'll turn it over to you.
Welcome.
I kind of echo a little bit of what Nicole says and a little bit of, don't overthink it. just try it. The worst possible thing that could happen is you decide you don't want to move forward. But I think you're going to love it and you're going to want to move forward the minute you try it.
I think you're right. Walt, take us home.
I think I'll definitely echo what Nicole and Jill said by positioning to the business owners, particularly listening on the call, that your most precious commodity is your time. And we as coaches definitely know that and respect that. So with that said, please take advantage of this free, intangible resource, because if it doesn't add value to you as a CEO or executive, it'll definitely add value to your team members.
Great, thank you, Walt. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today. We had a lot of chamber members on the call. We're all available to help out in any way possible. We had somebody submit a comment that we're awesome. Thank you to the anonymous attendee who did that. I appreciate that. I promise it wasn't me. Nonetheless, thank you so much for joining us today. This won't be the first and last time that we'll talk about the Coaching and Growth Center and a Customer Goals Coach program. These coaches are chamber members just like you. So you're going to see them at networking events. You're going to see them at whether they're in person or virtual. They're going to be part of our community. So if you see them, say, hey, I saw you in that webinar once, and let's start the conversation. Again, I want to echo what Jill, Walt, and Nicole all said. Give it a try. I promise you, you're going to love it. You're going to go in there and you're going to talk about goals that maybe you never mentioned before. And with that, I want to wish everybody a happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for coming in today. And I really appreciate all of you and your support of our chamber. Thank you so much.